in smoking. And I'm wondering, and an increase in drinking. In other words, this thing where them having to a plastic cup and they're calling it special. It is the first thing that would hit their stomach in the mornings or their mouth in the mornings before having anything else to eat. And I'm wondering if it's a case where the mixing of the smoke or the smoking with the drinking that it hit the brain. I don't know. I am trying to figure out, but too many young men that right now supposed to be in society making wave. In other words, um making strides, being up there is nowhere. So like if you could just shed a little light, tell me a little bit of what is happening. If you know. Me don't know.
All right, so very important issues that we're going to delve into right now. So firstly, when we talk about the prevalence of mental illness in Jamaica, it's always a bit difficult to speak with a level of precision because we don't have the most robust data, right?
Oh.
So it's kind of challenging to say what percentage of men in Jamaica are experiencing X or Y. But what we do know from the studies we have is that a significant number of Jamaicans, and certainly if we're going to focus on boys and men, do experience significant mental health challenges, right? That we can say with a pretty good degree of certainty.
Yes.
And now, when we look at some of the issues that men are suffering from in Jamaica, we know that there are high rates of depression, high rates of anxiety as well. In the hospital setting, you'll find that what makes up the greatest burden of hospital work, so in other words, where the greatest number of cases are coming from, the most severe forms of cases that really cause a lot of time and energy to be expended are for what we call our psychotic disorders like schizophrenia.
Oh.
Right, and in particular, in any given hospital you go in, you'll find that amongst the patients that are admitted into the psychiatric ward or a ward where psychiatric patients are taken care of, you'll find that the majority of them probably have a psychotic disorder like schizophrenia or perhaps bipolar disorder, which is another condition. These conditions aren't the most common mental illnesses, but when we see them in the hospital, it's quite severe. You touched on substance abuse, and that's a huge topic to discuss. But before we go there, actually, I'd want to highlight is, today is September 11th, which means that yesterday was Suicide Prevention Day, right? Yeah. September 10th, Suicide Prevention Day. Yeah, man. So that's that's a really important topic in general. What we've been seeing, a very concerning trend based on statistics published by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, is that suicide, the number of successful suicides has increased significantly. And for the last 4 years, we've had a steady rise. As a matter of fact, last year, in 2024, it was the highest number of suicides we've had in over 20 years. What's even more concerning, though, based on the statistics, is that when you look at the ratio of men to women, men were engaging in suicide 8 times more frequently than women. So, exactly. So that shows a huge disparity.
Wow.
Yeah, man. As a matter of fact, even though Jamaica actually doesn't have one of the highest suicide rates in the world, this disparity, when you have 8 men to 1 woman for completed suicides, is actually the 5th highest disparity in the world. So that's really concerning, and it's saying in the area of suicide, our men are disproportionately affected. And so that certainly speaks to a unique issue that's affecting our men and boys. And then we have to go into, well, where does that stem from? Like, why is it that we're seeing men being uniquely challenged in this way when it comes to mental health? There are a number of reasons. A question I always like to put forward, I'll even ask you on radio. You say that, you're an admirer of young boys,
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, understandable.
Yes.
We all, as Jamaicans, I think we all need to be invested in our children and our boys. So UNICEF would have come to Jamaica and would have spearheaded a study.
Okay.
They were looking at the number of children that are the victims of adverse childhood experiences, right? So let's break that down. Adverse childhood experiences are traumatic experiences that are that one would experience during their childhood,
Growing up. Yes.
exactly growing up, that are oftentimes linked to significantly negative health outcomes. So examples of this are physical abuse,
Yeah.
emotional abuse, sexual
Sexual
abuse,
abuse.
exactly, neglect,
Verbal. All that.
right, precisely. So they did a study where they were trying to establish the prevalence
Okay.
of these adverse childhood experiences amongst Jamaican children. So could you guess what percentage of Jamaican children they found would have been exposed to adverse childhood experiences? What would be your guess?
All right.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah, that me see. All right. So let me see. Let me see if I can guess it. Around 70%.
Very close. That's not bad. So they said 8 in 10 children. 8 in 10 children are the victims of
But
some
that is
form.
almost, so it's just few.
Right.
It's just a handful.
Right.
Would have escaped this thing and this
Precisely.
Is,
So when people, speak about the burden of mental illness in Jamaican,
Yes.
they wonder where it stems
so
from.
we have to go back.
We have to, absolutely. We have to.
It's not about when the person became adult, but then it's from childhood days.
In many cases. In many, many cases.
And I can tell you, it's no joke, because growing up, I was not really grown into a home where there was this abuse, whether it be but I would get like verbal.
Right.
Physical you'd have to do something, but the verbal part, you're full, penny, you're full. Go. So you get all of that, and sometimes they don't even know that even mentioning the word "you're full,"
Right.
a child can really take it.
Absolutely.
And it will stuck for
Yep.
a very long while, really thinking that you don't have enough sense, you're not bright enough, you're not wise enough. You understand? Because
Yes.
so it's truth. And then parents back then, I don't know if they're still doing it now. I think now what is more happening is more physical than verbal is going on for me. I don't know. Because parents nowadays intend to box down, kick down. Yes, man. It's true, man. I watch them. So back then, parents would carry the child beside them or in front. Nowadays, parents carry the children behind. Like a little tail. So the child is behind. You know how much time I stop them? Sometimes I'm in the plaza, the malls, and I saw a child all by, and I stop the child. I say, who is the parents? That time the mother up on the phone because she at her hype. Don't care about the child. The child is behind. Which a child is supposed to be beside you. You are supposed to be watching over.
Right.
So there is no level of protection in the home. None at all. None at all. Neither physically nor mentally. There is no protection. There is no covering. So the child nowadays, today's children, and this is why teachers having a problem. In the classroom, the teachers are having a problem because they say, you know, no manners. Because what? In the home, there is no rules. There's no ground rule. A child do as them feel like no. And so it's causing a big mayhem. So a child know that the mother know and the father is no longer into a relationship. And you see, if him ever favor the father, him feel it, Because
Right.
when she see that son, she see the father.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately, that happens a
that
lot.
child intend now to feel the impact of the relationship now going sour. Yeah? And so the child would get beaten, verbal abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. It comes right. Listen, I think, is it a case that we need to have a school-to-school parents?
Well, I think that... Well, what I would say is that I think that parents certainly need some degree of support. I do think I'm really happy what you've highlighted because the reality is that for a lot of the abuse that children face, they face it at the hands of their own parents.
The parents, and that makes it so hard.
It does make it challenging. What we have is we call it intergenerational trauma. So what that means is that perhaps you as a child
Yeah,
may
went
have
through.
experienced your own, exactly. Maybe you may have been the victim of abuse yourself, and then
You
now when
can
you have your own children,
you doing hand it
exactly,
down the same
you hand it
thing.
down, and then they will
Yes,
do
do
it,
it.
and then we
Yeah.
get a continued cycle. It's unfortunate.
This is oh my God. This is so the home would be the what I would say the not the victim, but the home would be the, I'm trying to search for the right word. In other words, everything that is taking place is coming from the home.
Well, a lot of it certainly. It's a
Yeah, most of
huge.
it.
It's a significant contributing factor. You're right.
When you talk about schizophrenia, I heard you mention schizophrenia. Somebody is born with it?
Okay, that's a great question, and a question we get commonly in the hospital. So schizophrenia, we consider it a neuropsychiatric disorder. And what that means is that, we appreciate that they're not just neuropsychiatric, but let me also say neurodegenerative. So what really all that means is that when someone has schizophrenia, there is clear evidence of gradual brain deterioration, right? So,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, so when it comes to the cause of schizophrenia, it's quite complex, and honestly, scientists don't fully understand it. But what we believe is that there is a significant genetic component. And so the person, when someone is born, they may be somewhat prone to developing schizophrenia,
Okay.
right? So let's say some individuals are more prone than others.
Yes.
So increasingly, we believe that when someone's born, their brain might have a certain level of vulnerability to developing the condition,
Okay.
right? So let's say, for argument's sake, that you had a medium level of vulnerability, but then in combination with that, you become the victim of significant childhood abuse, right? So you are already vulnerable, and then you got that very negative exposure, and that kind of tips you off the edge. And so you may then have the onset of disease, right? You had mentioned cannabis, or we would call it weed in our culture.
Yeah, we so weird.
Right. So right now, scientists will tell you that cannabis does not cause schizophrenia, but what it can do is that it is in vulnerable individuals, it can bring about the onset of the condition.
Right. It can.
Exactly. So I really want to emphasize that some individuals are more vulnerable to developing the condition than others. And if those individuals get a certain type of exposure, whether that be being the victims of some degree of abuse, or initiating ganja use very early,
Yeah.
or being someone who uses ganja very frequently, then they may in fact develop the condition. This is why a lot of times we explain to people that you have one subset of persons who smoke ganja regularly,
And it does nothing
it does
to-
absolutely nothing
nothing
to
to
them.
them.
They're just living their life. Some are very productive.
Yes.
But you have another subset who, exactly, unfortunately, it leads to the onset of different mental
Listen,
challenges.
Dr. Brian, you know why I was laughing? Because I remember before I met my husband, he told me that he was working somewhere, right? And some co-workers of his were smoking the ganja. So he had never experienced smoking the ganja. So he decided that he's going to take a draw. I don't know if it was 1 puff, 2 puff, or much puff, but can I tell you, he told me that when he took that draw, and like less than 2 minutes or 2 seconds, I'm not sure, that he began to saw everybody looking like puss. So when he said that he saw the little, what you call these claws? Mimi literally turning pussy. He saw the whiskers.
Right.
And then he said to himself, no man, I have to get out of this. He saw, because then they saw the look on his face and realized that something was wrong. So they were coming after him to hold him. And he thought that they were attacking him. So he did run. And they had to run him down, restrain him.
Wow.
They say that they gave him sweet sugar and water.
I've heard that before.
Sweet sugar water can
I've
work,
heard that.
sir.
Well, I don't know if we have studies to back it, but I've certainly heard that people have used that before.
So he said that they gave him sweet water. So in other words, it's sugar with water, people. It's sugar and water that. If you don't put lime in it, it's not lemonade. All right? So it's sugar and water. And they make it very syrupy. and gave it to him to drink. Still have him restrained, and then after they look and saw that it seems as if he's coming back to normalcy, then that's when they released him. But every now and then, if he puts too much pressure to his mind, in other words, thinking too hard,
Yes.
he said he feels as if he's going back there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, what your story highlights is that there are different experiences for persons who get exposed to ganja. Some persons, with their first exposure to ganja, have a very dramatic experience, like the one that you've just mentioned, your
Yes.
husband's. And for some of them, they swear off ganja. They never use it again. I know I've heard of quite a few cases
Never
like
touch
that.
it again.
For
Never.
others, it's quite subtle. And, a lot of times when we sit down and we speak to our patients who are using ganja, oftentimes to their detriment, because it might be making their condition worse.
Yes.
When you speak to them and you ask them, what they will tell you is that it keeps them calm.
Yeah, because I think that's what the Rastafarian community would say, that it's a form of meditation.
Right.
But it's not everybody meditate.
No, exactly. That's it. So as I
Some
said,
people get out of them rockers for real.
right. And it can be very hard to tell beforehand, right? So,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So because it's so subtle for some persons, they can be seemingly okay
Yeah.
for weeks, for months, before they have an acute episode. So that's part of what makes it so tricky. So in a case like what happened with your husband, where it was so dramatic the first time, and he said he's not doing that
Thank
again,
God for that.
that one is more clear-cut,
Yeah,
right?
They won't do it again, don't they?
But for many, it's very subtle. And as a matter of
Yes.
fact, it's something they use to relieve stress. Because let's go back to what we were talking about. If 80% of Jamaicans can point to experiencing some trauma in their childhood,
Yeah.
then a lot of these persons are trying to deal with trauma in adulthood. And they're trying to find different outlets and different ways of coping. So weed, ganja becomes very attractive to an individual like that.
Yes.
And that's what a lot of them will tell you. That's why they do it, because it allows them to feel more relaxed.
And
Hola
so-
meds, as
and-
we'd say in our culture.
Yeah, walla meds. And so for me, that's why now there is an increase in smoking. So that's I see like young. I mean, when I look at some of these young man faces and women too, don't get me wrong, because I don't want it look biased. I see enough young girls puffing the cigarette, even their children is beside them, And I said to myself, so and it's not only just the ganja, they're doing other things. Some persons doing the what they call this one that is a oh my God, what is it? It is the latest one on the market.
I don't know if
that,
you're referring to Molly, because I know that.
n-
Not just, another one.
the one that it's not real smoking,
Oh, vaping.
the vaping.
Yes. That's
So
become quite
even
popular
those in
too.
the school, the students in the school now, because they don't want it, seems as if then they are doing cigarette ganja ray, so they are doing that.
Yes.
But that is too. It also is dangerous. Not
Absolutely. It comes with many negative health
It? Oh,
consequences.
God, His mercy.
Based on the, so what you might find interesting, based on statistics published by the National Council on Drug Abuse, what they've found actually is that it's not necessarily that Jamaicans are smoking ganja. More Jamaicans are smoking ganja, but what they have found is among the Jamaicans that are smoking ganja, they are doing it more intensely. And I think what also you might observe is that with the decriminalization of ganja, some persons feel more emboldened to smoke more freely and more openly.
Yes.
So you might be seeing it, in your day-to-day, you may be seeing it more in the public
More.
sphere. But based on the surveys, because they've been doing these surveys for some time, it's not necessarily that more people are smoking, but those who are smoking more intensely.
Oh, okay.
Which also goes,
Okay.
which is important, because that goes back to what we were talking about before. So the impact that ganja has on your mental health will also be dependent on the dose. So if you're smoking very,
That's why you use the word the dose. It's so this. Is there medication?
well, you see, the reality is that similar to medication,
Yeah,
there are different levels of potency.
that is true. That is true.
And so the when we quantify weed, we talk about a spliff, right? But not all spliffs are the same.
No, because you're big spliff, small spliff. Yeah.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yes, man. I see some huge one, man.
Yes,
And I said,
yes.
how long is that going to take to finish?
Right.
So
No, and it's not just the size of the spliff though,
is
but it's
it?
also so there's something called THC,
Mm-hmm.
and the percentage of THC will determine how potent it is.
Okay.
So if we
So,
if we have a if I give you a spliff that has a very high percentage of THC, that's going to impact you a lot stronger than one that has a low potency, right? So there's all these little things here, and what the studies are showing is that no, your average ganja smoker in Jamaica is smoking ganja with a higher
with a
percentage
higher
of THC,
percentage. Wow.
and that the higher it's similar to alcohol if you think about it. You're not going to compare a bottle of Red Stripe with a flask of Rare Nephew, right? You know, that's
No,
two
no,
different
two
things.
different things.
Right, exactly.
Yes,
One will
yes.
definitely knock you out faster. It's
I
the
two
same
of them
thing.
would have knocked me out, but one tap, yes.
So it's the same thing. It's the same thing with the ganja, right? They're not all the same, and what we're finding is Jamaicans are now,
Okay.
yeah, man, Jamaicans are now more frequently smoking the higher potency stuff. So just like the Rare Nephew is more likely to get you drunk, that type of ganja is more likely to really change your behavior and the way you see the world.
So when I'm just all right. So for me, who is not a ganja specialist,
I won't say I
not
am
a
either.
no, I don't say you are either. So there is, in other words, like a grade,
Right, you could
like
exactly.
chicken,
Right, right.
A grade,
I
B
think they'd say high
grade,
grade, but
high
whichever
grade.
you
Yeah,
prefer to
if you
put
say
it.
A, I don't even know what to say. I'm not a specialist here. But say, all right, so you
Hmm.
use the word high grade, right?
Right, right,
So
right.
that means there is, it's not the amount that
Right.
they would use to say make this cliff, but it's the quality,
Right, right,
not the
exactly.
quantity.
The quality. Yep, absolutely.
Wow, I wasn't looking at that.
Yeah, man.
I wasn't looking at that. So, in other words, somebody would start to smoke one that is of a lesser level.
Hmm.
Just put it that, a lesser
Sure,
level.
sure.
And they realize that, listen, this one is stronger than this.
Right.
And so they would get that one.
That's a lot of times that's the pattern.
So moving from one level to another level where you think, all right, if I start smoking, not a high grade, but I started low and I
Right.
go high,
Right.
then moving from low to high can really finish, because something would have started in I'm asking a question here.
Sure, no
So
problem.
moving from a low level
Hmm.
in smoking this thing,
Right.
right? Not a high one as yet. The brain got any form of damage there?
Right. So that's another important question. So, um, the impact that cannabis has on the brain is also to a large degree dependent on age. So I'm really happy with the point you're
On
making,
age
that you're
to
saying
know.
that you see a lot of young persons smoking,
Yeah.
right? So generally, um, we would advise everyone to be cautious about ganja use, but in particular, we wouldn't advise it for children and adolescents for clear reasons. Um, before it was like a cultural thing. It's just something we didn't think was appropriate for young people. But no, science seems to suggest that the developing brain, in your childhood and your adolescence, is particularly affected by the impact of ganja smoking. So, again, if you think about it, we have a large proportion of Jamaican children who are already experiencing high rates of abuse in the home.
Mm.
And then you get that subset of children, and some of them start initiating ganja use at a very young age.
Yeah.
That you would expect
Yeah.
that would have some kind of significant
Yeah.
impact on their brain and mental health.
What about the tea? Say, for instance, some persons don't want the child to smoke, but they make the tea and give it to the child. 6 and 1/2 dozen or the other.
Well, all right. So
Oh,
let's put it
serious?
this way: there are some health concerns that are unique to smoking, right? There's some issues with smoking that won't apply to other forms of consumption. So if you're engaging with ganja tea, there are some concerns that come with smoking that wouldn't apply, but it's still the same product. The reality is that most times, ganja tea products aren't designed to be very potent. They're not designed to have that high level of THC. that you might find in a spliff, right?
Oh,
So you,
okay.
as a just a general across the board rule, it's probably less potent than what you might find on some of the high grade spliff on the road. But at the same time, it still is ganja, and in vulnerable
That's it.
individuals, it can still
It can still
cause
cause.
some kind of mental health challenges for
Yeah,
some.
yeah. Wow, there is just so much to talk about. There is just so much to talk about. But just before we wrap up, because I'm about to wrap up,
Sure.
yeah. Let me ask you a question. If a young man, for instance, had a girlfriend, because I realize too, the mental health thing is being caused by a woman a leave a man. Yeah. Is that person can come back to normalcy?
Okay, so that's a great
I
question.
just, I just, because I know of more than one persons that this
Right.
has happened to. One of the individual is also up by the Bellevue. Sorry,
Hmm.
getting counseling.
Okay.
It's not getting treatment. It's getting
Right.
counseling
Right.
because the girl, she just had a baby for both of them,
Hmm.
and out of the blue she just say, "Yeah, I leave you,"
Right. Right.
and she
Right.
left him for somebody else, and he went off like that. So I'm just asking the question: if one um, got into or ending up or experiencing something like this where he loved the woman, because I guess him loved the woman more than that woman had loved him, and
Mm.
she just left with the child,
Right.
left with the child too, the only child,
Right.
and gone with somebody else, and he just went off like that. Is it a case that such a one can turn around?
Well, so the simple answer is yes, and we do that a lot at Bellevue Hospital. So we do, there are many patients that come to us after a traumatic experience like that one, and we are able to help them and improve their mental health, and as you would say, kind of bring them back.
Yeah, man.
Like the reality is just the success rate is not 100%. So
Okay.
yeah, man. So of course there are cases where it's very
It
challenging,
happened.
but there certainly are also success stories and cases where we are able to bring individuals back to where they may have been before the traumatic experience. One of the main things we like to highlight is that, the earlier the better,
Yeah.
right? So if you find that you're experiencing significant mental health issues, the earlier you seek help, the better.
How one know?
Well, that's a great question, and that's partly why we at Bellevue Hospital are always trying to engage in activities like this, so we can speak to the public and raise awareness. So, some of the telltale signs. Firstly, a lot of times when people are experiencing significant mental health challenges, it affects their ability to just function. So maybe they're not able to be as present at work as they normally would be. Maybe they're not able to be as productive at work as they normally would be. Maybe all of a sudden they're absent at work, right? So then it's not just about what happens in the workplace, it can be what's happening at home. So maybe, before that you were a very engaged and active parent, husband, wife, etc. But all of a sudden you're no longer really washing the dishes. You're no longer doing things you normally would do.
So you'd say they lose the interest. You see them losing interest in doing.
Well,
It wouldn't be. It would be interest. I
well,
know.
so it's not that you're wrong, but what I want to emphasize that is that they're just no longer able to function as well as they
Oh, to
normally would be.
function.
But what you're saying is also true.
Okay.
A lot of times they lose interest in activities that they used to enjoy. Maybe they used to enjoy going out and playing football. They might be very, very withdrawn. They may just be in their room all the time,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
Someone who used to be outgoing and,
Yes.
and go to parties and everything, all of a sudden they're just inside all the time. Another thing you can look for is that they may not be taking care of themselves anymore. So maybe you had someone who was always well groomed, always ensuring that their hair is well put together.
Yes.
All of a
Yes.
sudden, there seems to be an issue there. If you notice a relative of
True.
yours is not maybe even bathing as frequently as they would be.
Yes.
These are some of the
Yes.
early signs that a lot of the relatives that come to our hospital will tell us that they see. And then, so those are some of the signs that anyone can pick up.
So, not cutting it,
that's
not cutting,
fine,
but
that's fine.
as the question come to my thoughts. So, when you see somebody not taking care of themselves, dealing with IG now, so and a dopey,
Right, right,
and a,
right,
and a
right,
dopey
right.
and a possess,
Right.
it's just a mind thing, right?
Absolutely.
So most of the time it's just to know the signs and to look for them, and then is it a case that no, you wouldn't carry the person straight to Bellevue because you have like the health centers,
Absolutely,
right? So you would
absolutely. You
get
know
the
it.
person there,
Right,
right,
right, right.
right, and that's where no, they would assess them. to see how far they have gone
Right.
and what can be done.
Yeah, no, I think that's you put it very well. But I just want to add something else. So what we like to say a lot of times to our patients, or at least me in particular, is that friends and family are actually your first line of defense.
Okay.
So there are many cases where if you have a very good support network around you, then you can actually use that support network.
Okay.
The reality is that not everyone has a good support network,
No.
right? Secondly, sometimes even when you have people around you that care,
Yeah.
they may not have the ability or the capacity to take on your challenges. It might be difficult for them to help you. They may not be able to.
You're okay.
You may not want to burden them with it as well, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So in situations like that, seeking professional help would be warranted.
best.
And like you said, they can first go if it's not if it's not like an urgent situation, then they can go to the health centers first, and then they can get assessed and take it from there.
Okay. Nicely said, nicely done. Let me ask you again, because we just run
That's
with it.
fine, no problem.
All right, so seeing an increase of mental health persons on the road, how do they get into Bellevue? In other words, they can walk in all by themselves?
Yes.
No, some do?
Some do.
All
Not the
right.
majority, but yes, some do.
All right, so if that person don't have a family member to take them in and they don't carry themselves, what happened?
Well, the reality is Bellevue Hospital is no different than any other public hospital in Jamaica in that if someone comes to our emergency room with an acute psychiatric concern, we are going to treat them
I've
no
never
matter
been
what.
there, you know?
You should visit.
I've
You should
never-
visit.
It's a shame.
Yeah, man.
A
Shannon
shame.
is here. She can tell you we have a park.
Hi, beautiful lady.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
A
very.
shame. I've never gone. I'm going to take a trip, you know.
You
I'm
should.
going to come there.
Yeah, man.
So, all right. So, like 2 months ago, when I realized and I really was having that issue with this thing and seeing them every day out there, so I was saying then, so they can't do a campaigning. You met about campaign and election here. But I was saying they can't like get a van, get something and just collect the people from off the road. Serious, you know? Shoot. I'm a very truthful person. I say they couldn't just get a bus, a van, something and just collect them from off of the road and take them in and see who they can treat, who can be treated and sent home, and the ones now who look like they have gone too far, then they would have somewhere where they can keep them. That's what I was saying. I didn't know that it was set up like a hospital in a way where you don't really have anywhere to keep somebody forever.
Precisely. I'm happy you've said that because no, I'm actually very happy you've said that because
It's true.
that's a message we would really like to get across to all Jamaicans.
Oh, gosh.
We're a hospital, which means we only have a limited number of beds.
I didn't see that.
Right? So our job is to take persons who are experiencing significant psychiatric illnesses,
Yeah.
be able to treat them and rehabilitate them, and then bring them back into the community.
Okay.
It's not. You said earlier you mentioned that we used to be called the Jamaica Lunatic Asylum, and you never liked how that
I
sounds.
don't like that word.
Right. So we're not an asylum. We're a hospital now. We're
Not
Bellevue
an
Hospital.
asylum.
Right. So that's exactly the idea. The reality is there are some efforts being done, at least that's what I've heard, from including organizations like Poor Relief, apparently the municipal corporations, the Ministry of Local Government. There are some efforts being made to try and account for the homeless and see what can be done. But what I can tell you from our experience, and this is not just Bellevue Hospital again, this is if you speak to any psychiatric department across Jamaica,
Yeah.
they will tell you that there's a subset of patients who we are able to treat and rehabilitate, but who we struggle to find a place to keep them in after they are discharged. So the impression that we get as healthcare providers is that as it stands right now, we may not necessarily have the capacity for all the homeless persons that might need to be taken care of. I'm imagining that efforts are being made to increase that capacity, and we welcome those efforts.
Most of the patients that you have coming in, they have families.
Yeah, man, the majority.
So
The majority.
when they leave them there, and it's supposed to return for them after, if they've come back to good senses, good order, everything is okay, and you call them, they respond.
Yeah, man. I would say the majority of our patients are brought in by family members and leave with family members. The majority. But
That's wonderful.
yeah, man. But there still is a significant portion who unfortunately don't. Either they weren't brought in with family members. Sometimes they're accompanied by police or the community mental health team.
Oh.
And then there are some who are brought in by family members, but it's very challenging to get through to the family members thereafter. So we still have a significant proportion of patients who fall into that category, but we also, I would say the majority of persons are brought in by family and leave with family.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. All right, so guess what, Doc? Time up, you know.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Happy to be here.
Listen, and I'm really going to invite you back on next time.
Anytime.
Here, please, because we still have more, and I will get my questions on paper properly.
Sure.
So that and I had given out the numbers that persons could call in, because trust me, persons are suffering. I believe, as I do this wrap up for this section, I believe that mental health started long time in the home. You know, I sat and I used to listen, parents, even my mom, because I grew with my mom, not my father, and I believe mental health is in every one of us, a little. Believe me, it is in there. I remember my mom, just in case we had done something wrong, and she was going to discipline us. May use the word discipline. Let me not use the word beat. She would going to discipline us. She would like, when they send her on the lake, the beating, in other words, and you cry out, shut up. No, tell me the truth, Doc. How you feel beat me? How you to be sending blows to my body, to my skin, and saying shut up.
Right.
And when I shut up, get it now, you know. So you stop crying, because you say, if I stop crying, you might stop beating me. You say, wait. Oh, so you not feel nothing. You not cry. And then put on the leg, see me. So, but I used to sit and I said to myself, but it seems that these people mad. I don't know. I'm not being rude. It's just the truth. You cannot be hitting at me because you say I've done something wrong. And because now I'm crying out and I jump and scream and prance because I don't want the hit, you're saying to me I need to shut up. How you shut up somebody that you're hitting? Or you tell somebody shut up that you're beating? You know, so I think to myself, but it seems as if something was cracking long time, you know. But then as life goes on, we come down to the stage where most of us now, when they reach certain age, they start beating you and they start abusing you verbally. You know,
Right.
That is where they begin to speak things over you. And most of us, they would say, word is, blow. Oh my God, I'm trying to remember that little phrase that they used to say while we were going to school, that blow is unkind, word is unkind. Oh Lord, I'm not remembering. Let me leave it there. But guess what, Doc? I really want to thank you so much for coming and just giving us that eye opener. Yes, I call it an eye opener. We have just cracked the surface as it pertains to mental health.
Oh yeah, man, we could be here all day.
We can be here all day.
But before we leave, I think it's just important to again reiterate what you've mentioned, right? So we've talked a lot about mental health challenges in Jamaica.
Yes.
Let's also talk about the resources they can access. As you would rightly say, if someone's experiencing mental health challenges, first, please reach out. Reach out to those nearest to you,
right.
family and friends.
That's right.
If it is that family and friends can't help, they're unable to, maybe unwilling to, then we have our health centers.
Yes.
And we do have our hospitals that are open 24/7.
And the health centers are located almost
go to your
around
nearest
the
health
parishes.
center. Yeah, man. Go to
All
your nearest
right,
health center.
all right.
Our health system is set up a way that no matter where in Jamaica you are, there should be a health center within a 10-mile radius, if not less. So go to your nearest health center. Also, if you or someone you know is having significant mental health issues, including suicide, again, yesterday was Suicide Prevention Day.
Yes.
There's the Mental Health and Suicide Prevention Helpline, right? That's 888 New Life, right? 888 New Life, which is also 888 639 5433. So you can also, any Jamaican can use that number anytime and get through to someone for help.
Wonderful. And I'll sure to give out the number again.
Please.
I had a number on my paper here.
Yeah, man.
But I'm not sure if it is the same number.
Well, we can tell you that number is the right number.
Oh, okay. So what I have here, all right, so I had a number here, 876, 928 1380.
Well, that's our number.
Oh, all right.
That's the hospital number.
All right, that's a hospital number. All right. So I'll definitely give out all this information again to persons.
Please do.
Because trust me, it is happening.
We know.
And it's happening with our young, even in the schools.
Absolutely.
Even in the schools, it is happening. I have gone to several schools and I've seen it happening. I have seen it in the church. It is all around. It is in the home. It is in the workplace. It is all around. So guess what? I think we need to be alert. Just like, if somebody is getting a heart attack, not let me use the word heart attack. I'm trying to use something that an everyday thing that somebody would have signs to, and you can say, all right, let me give CPR to it, So this is just it. Persons need to know the signs to look for. Because sometimes people think people are trick them.
Right.
See a general that. How your money want? No. Sometimes the person is really crying out for help.
A lot of the time.
Help. But you don't hear the help. What you see is just an action.
Right.
And cannot be able, and not being able to read the signs. So, sir, doctor, I will be having you again. And you said that is okay whenever.
Yeah, man, more than okay.
So guess what? I just want to thank you so much.
Yeah, man, thank you.
One more time to
end. Man, my pleasure.
Just to open up my darling. Thank you for coming along. For opening the eyes of people. Nobody call in. I don't know why you people never call, but guess what? You have a chance again. Don't call me when Dr. gone, because I don't know anything to tell you. All right? All I can tell you is find your health center. There is a room that deals with mental health issues. All right? So, Doc, thank you so much.
Yeah,
as we deal with health, wellness on today, and we were dealing with mental health and suicide prevention. Yes, all of that, it is in one cylinder, one thing. Yes, it's under one umbrella. So as we close this segment, we go for a musical break, and I will be right back with you.
When your money done, got a God. Your husband gone, got a God. Your boyfriend gone, got a God. Don't know what to do.